Hi. Today I'd like to talk to you all about a project that's been in the works for several months now, in my head as well as on paper. But today I will be officially announcing its launch. Now before that, I want to paint the picture, I want to set some context, so to speak, and say that I believe that this point will herald the culmination of my filmmaking career, but also the start of my movie making one. Indeed, this will mark the passing of a torch from my past career to my future, and what this is all about today, this video, is chapter one. But for me to even start on this journey, for me to put pen to paper and start writing page one, so to speak, for me to even press the on button on this long and arduous yet unencumbered path I have ahead of me, I will need a little bit of help. And I do say a little bit because I literally mean a little bit. For this project, I will be observing this maxim that I've respected for most of my life. Do what you can with what you have and what you can expect, regardless. I will be asking for an objectively small amount to complete this project, but enough to make my very first movie. That's right, full-length feature film. The runtime right now, I guess calculated by the script, is over an hour and 20 minutes. Could be potentially significantly longer than that. So it is a full-length feature film, full cast and crew, act one, act two, act three, whatever. It's a film. And it's being made by me, a 21-year-old who has, obviously no experience with movies, ostensibly no experience with what you could call, legitimate crew and legitimate productions in film. Although I have, as most of you know, been working on films or been creating videos for, maybe the majority of my life by now, since I was about 8 or 9, and more seriously from the age of 15. Every single project I've been involved with, except for possibly, you could argue, my last one, had no cast or crew, no official. It was essentially me, the camera that is recording this, which is bought from eBay for $155, a $70 tripod I bought from Target when I was maybe 16, and possibly the help of a friend who I dragged along with nothing to do, no interest in film, but was willing to help me for an hour and a half or 2 hours or so, or my little brother who would act in the film or something like that. But no official crew, no 5-person production, nobody with boom mics, nobody gaffing with lights, and no expensive camera. The last film I ever did, which was almost a year and a half ago by now, was a year and a half ago actually, which was a horror short, Malice. It's on YouTube. That had somebody helping me with lights, one person, and then somebody helping me shoot it with helping me provide equipment and so on. And I hired an actor, a child actor. But this is going to be over 12 times the length. That film we shot in 4 hours. It wasn't much. It really wasn't a huge step forward from what I had been doing, but it was a considerable step. This is definitely a huge step. This is, such a big step that one would question the feasibility of it, but that's why I'm coming here. That's why I have this philosophy that I have, which is I will do what I can with what I have, and when you kind of lead with that thinking, you discover opportunities you usually wouldn't, and you are more willing to tackle them. So, 70+ minute film, full movie, literally movie, at the age of 21 with no resources, a $150 camera and a $70 tripod at his disposal, no actors, no acting experience himself. It does seem a little bit absurd, yet not impossible. So, I guess in conclusion, with my own wherewithal, with my own determination and diligence, and maybe craft plays in there a little bit, with your help, I believe it can happen. But again, I won't know unless I have a minimal amount of resources. And because the fact of the matter is, filmmaking is maybe not even a business, it's almost a non-profit, right? It takes a lot of money. Will it make money? Maybe. It can make a lot of money, it can make $0, but regardless, it costs money to make. But like I said, I am asking for an objectively small amount. The average short film budget in the US, for instance, is about $30,000. The average movie, which is what I'm making, budget in the US is about $500,000. So what will I be asking for? About $3,000. Now, sounds, again, absurd, but I've crunched the numbers. That's the number I've came to that I realized that minimal amount for this to really happen. So that's what I'm asking for today, just $3,000 to not make a short film, to not make another PSA, another documentary, another skit, something comedic, to make a full length, an hour and a half, hour 45 serious movie with, 8+ actors, with a lead, a co-lead, expensive equipment, and yeah. Now delving into, I guess, your mental hemisphere a little bit, what would motivate you to do something like this? Why donate? Why support? And why invest? Well, first, obviously, if you are a close friend or family, it sounds almost egotistical, but it's sort of a no-brainer. You're helping somebody, you're supporting someone. So insofar as you'd like to support me as a human, as a creator, and as a professional, this is a step towards that. And again, very small amount, so little amount definitely goes a long way. Now, if you don't really know me that well, I would ask you just to consider one thing, that the world really has two different, I guess, hemispheres to production. One completely deals with the sustainability of our race, but more so progression. Oftentimes, needless progression, virtual reality being an example. Facebook just changed its name to Meta, signaling its investments in that front. Is it better for humans, better for humanity to embrace virtual reality? Probably not. Okay, I mean, you would at least say that we don't know, but I would argue probably not. But are we building it regardless? Of course, because technology, anytime we have technological innovation at our hands, we're going to take it every time. AI, going back to the spinning Jenny, self-driving cars, it's going to overtake about 15% of the entire US workforce, meaning transportation drivers. We're all going to take it. That's like one hemisphere, engineering, math. It's all noble, respectable in its own right. The other half is the half that supports us in the time that we're here. If I had to really summarize it, the first half is to keep us living. The second half is to give us a reason to live. I don't know about you, but I am of the opinion that that second half there is a very big part of our lives, besides being just one half, being 50% of the whole cup. It also is just super important, fulfilling, romantic, things we all need in and of itself. So this movie, although it's not the only movie being made right now, or the only movie that's ever been in history, it's a part of that. It is contributing to that. So if we want to contribute to that second hemisphere, meaning the reason that we are here to live in the first place, what really gives us a reason to live in the first place, then you will be supporting that goal by supporting this small one. And again, only $3,000 is the ultimate goal here. So that's, I think, a pretty darn good reason if I think about it myself. Now, the motivation on an investment front is much smaller than the other ones. Of course, there's always a chance this gets in Tribeca, gets into Sundance, there's a fly there, gets into, I don't really know many film festivals, but there's a lot of them out there, and gets a grant or gets some sort of award, gets recognized on the national stage. If this film were to get into, one of those film festivals, I definitely would not forget, neglect those who supported and donated and invested in me before this. Now, that's not a big part of this. I'm sure that's not why most of you are supporting me, will be donating to this movie, this project, but it is a nice little addition to the end. Now, I'm sure a lot of you want to know, and you've been wondering for probably every 15 seconds for the last 2 minutes now, what this film is actually about, what I'm going to be making, what you're going to be watching, why, or what you're donating to. I don't want to disclose the premise or the plot at this point. I'd rather just let it speak for itself when it comes out. I will say it's a drama. It's not a comedy, but it does have some comedic elements. But most importantly, one of the things that I personally am trying to achieve with this film is to try to embody this sort of perfect balance between the, Sorkian type, snappy, quick-witted dialogue that we've seen in movies like The Social Network, that we've seen in movies like The Trial of the Chicago 7, Molly's Game, etc., and more realistic depictions of human life that we've seen in movies like Lady Bird, The Myra Stories, Marriage Story. There is really these two different ends of dialogue. On this one hand here, on the left hand, we have dialogue that is incredibly entertaining. That you're punching in wit, wisdom, ideas, philosophy, romanticism in every single line, because every single line is scrutinized, it's meticulously thought over, and it's almost painted across like a canvas onto the screenplay. Now, the right side is more so just a depiction of everyday life, of quotidian. It's just a slice of quotidian life. And some of these are my favorite films, and some of these are my favorite films. Now, I do believe that in blending these elements and finding the aforementioned perfect middle ground, you can make a film that is entertaining as a social network, but still is so realistic as to facilitate yourself stepping into the role of the character, seeing yourself in the face, the journey, also the emotions of the character, where you're incredibly invested, right? But we use this word invested all the time with movies and with books. I feel invested in the character. I felt invested in the storyline from the outset. I think that breaking this ground here will give rise to a new vocabulary to describe all this. So instead of invested, I believe it will be empathized. Not to be confused with sympathize, but empathize, the ability to really feel what somebody else is feeling. And that does happen with movies. We do have empathetic type characters. Most of the time it's more of 70-30 percentage or ratio of sympathizing 70 to empathizing, which I think should be more 50-50. I think you should be really feeling like you are that character, and not only the main character, but the side characters. You say, oh, that's my friend Matthew, or that's my friend Katie, she acts the exact same as her, or that's kind of reminds me of my dad, or that reminds me of my brother. So, in conclusion, not to sound too dramatic, I'm trying to do something that I don't believe other filmmakers have done before. So, not only will you be supporting, my first movie or any movie, any first production of someone who's only 21 years old, hasn't even went to film school or has any big budget, you will also, I hope, my personal mission, be supporting a film that is really breaking ground. Not only in the context of 21-year-old filmmakers or college filmmakers or post-grad, but in the filmmaking world. Is it optimistic for me to think that? Of course. Is it possible? Of course. So I hope that you're as excited about that mission, that greater mission, as I am. Because again, I'm not just trying to, get my first film done. I'm not just asking you to fund a learning experience, so to speak. I'm asking you to really partake in a film that I believe can I'm not going to say change people's lives, but it can really affect people, and transcend above what most student films could do, and actually break ground in the art, the science of the art of filmmaking, which doesn't happen very often. I think I have the innovation and the discipline and the vision to make it happen. I think you have the empathy to understand why it could be me, and the sympathy to really want to help and donate your hard-earned money. Now, this whole thing about the dialogue, right, and combining and meshing and finding a perfect univision of that, I'm still obviously going to strive to have amazing cinematography, to have amazing editing, amazing acting too. And I'm going to, work as hard on those harder than I've ever worked on any other film. But at the end of the day, it's not going to look like The Avengers. It's not going to be filmed like 1917. It's not going to have the CGI of Marvel's Endgame or the new Spider-Man movie. It's not going to have the acting of The Godfather, because that's just pretty much impossible at this stage. You need to have $20 million, right? Everyone who makes a movie like that this is probably obvious, don't even need to say. But regardless, I still will be trying to exceed expectations and do well on all those fronts. It is my belief, though, that however many pixels there are in a camera does not have a direct correlation. No, not a direct correlation, but a direct causation with how well the film is. Meaning, you can film with a camera like the one I have now, which is not the one we're filming a movie on, but this one, $150, and still make a film that's better than one that was made with a camera that cost $1 million or $50,000. I truly believe that. So don't think that it is because it's a student production that the ceiling is really, really low. The ceiling obviously isn't like, it's not going to go to the box offices or anything, but it's higher than you may expect. So in conclusion, that's the film. That's what I'm working on, that's what I'm striving towards, and that's why I believe that people should care about it. Now, we'll give you a little tidbit before. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you what the movie is about, but I will tell you the movie title. The movie is called Between You and Me. We are set to start production. Probably when you're watching this, we'll be starting to film. I want to release it by around New Year's, which is a lofty goal, but I think it's possible. And also, if you are interested in acting, if you know somebody who is interested in acting or filmmaking, which is most people do, reach out, let me know. We're taking on new people for cast and crew every single day. So that's that. I'm very excited to start on my chapter 1 and for you all to be a part of it. So thank you, and I will hopefully see you when all is said and done, and we can all watch this film that I made between you and me.